see the engine ticking over gently. Row 1, Brown and Feeney. Row 2, Mostert and Hill. Teams, drivers, engineers, sponsors, they've all realigned in the quest to be number 1. The 2024 championship is wide open and gets underway. And what a start. They are 3 wide into turn 1. Brown has the ascendancy through the first turn. Mostert is making a big argument of it, and in the background, Wood's gone off and is out in the gravel and parked up and staying there.
This will be a safety car. And Mostert got the best start by a mile. He had nowhere to go. He was jammed in behind the 2 Red Bull Camaros. He got a brilliant start but had nowhere to go.
Riding with Chaz now up towards the cutting. So Hill has done a great job of jumping into the game here. I was waiting for the safety car call and it has come. And the drivers have been alerted as well. So Ryan Wood, unfortunately, in some bump and grind down there at turn 1, which invariably involves more than a single car, has ended up in the gravel trap.
4, 3, 2, 1. Safety car speed limiters must be enabled.
So they've gone full course yellow and freezing the scenario at the moment. And Peter Gibberis, the owner of Premier Newlon Racing, so he'll be frustrated with what he saw on the grid before with the James Golding problem. But fortunately, that car is at least running. That countdown that you heard in the background is a procedural countdown that gets the drivers to a position where they've activated a full course yellow button, which is top left of the steering wheel in these cars. And then they have there's a 15-second reaction in that process, and then they're limited to 80 kilometres an hour. So it's effectively stabilising the field, and it's done for safety reasons. So because there are going to be people on the racetrack, in this case to retrieve young Ryan's car, then they effectively neutralise the race. So here's what happened off the start. So watch the second row of the grid in the white car. Chaz Mostert makes a great conversion, but Mark picked up on the fact there was nowhere to go. And that was really a break for Cam Hill on the outside. Brown was looking pretty strong here through the first corner, but Chaz ended up in the wrong position on the run up towards turn 2. And the second of the Newlon cars tangled up in all that as well. Here's the rear view from Will Brown's car. How's the velocity difference between the 2 cars? But there's just nowhere to go. It's only 225 metres off pole down to the apex of turn 1. Now, somewhere in all of this, Mozzie ended up on the outside here. So here's the view from him. Oh, he converted nicely, didn't he? Not too much wheel spin. He had to get out of the throttle in the shift to second gear. And that gap is big enough for a mountain bike, but not a supercar.
It's a good explanation.
Cars sit in neutral in idle as they prepare for an all clear. Feeney on the pole from Mostert, then Brown and Golding. Race 2 at Bathurst. Can Mostert spoil the Red Bull story that's been so strong so far? And the answer to that off the jump is yes. He's put power to the road, grabs second gear, and he shoots it off the turn 1 in the lead. And up on the outside is Golding. Golding's done a great job, and we've got Trauma at the back of the pack. Cam Hill's in trouble there together with Macaulay Jones. We'll unpack more of that. Let's rocket up Mountain Straight for the first time. It is Mostert, it is Golding, then Feeney, then Brown, then Reynolds. So already the order has been scrambled.
So great start also there by James Golding. And I think Ryan Wood was caught up in all that kerfuffle, Neil. So as someone I just heard them saying, I've got a flat tyre. So Mostert able to put that clean side of the track to perfect use and walked it off the line with no wheel spin, gapped the field, and James Golding was able to get by both the Red Bull and Pole Camaros at the same time.
So the predictions based on yesterday's start performance for Chaz Mostert have worked out very handsomely. So he's leapt to the lead. That's an important track position consideration for him. And I believe it's a flat tyre for Cam. It's worse than that. In fact, it's a lot of front left-hand corner steering damage on that car. So that's going to bring him back into the lane. What a shame after a strong Friday and Saturday. Look at that. It's full-blown rallycross for Ryan Wood over the top of the hill. Brings up the rocks, but manages to scoot out the other side. There's a margin in hand now for Mostert over the top of the hill. 3/4 of a second in the micro sectors down here towards Forest Elbow. Lap 1, coolish tyres, but they're coming up. A lunge down the inside. Cam Waters thought about it on Matt Payne. Oh, actually, it was Richie Stanaway that he was poking the nose under. It didn't work. How's the fresh air? Mozzie's bolted, 1.2 seconds. Down the chute he goes. Chaz Mostert in the lead from James Golding, Broc Feeney, Will Brown, David Reynolds, Thomas Randall. Will Davis Davis and Jack LeBrock. Di Pasquale and Percat out 10, and a move down the inside for Feeney, and they end up with a position where they bump and grind, and off goes Golding. And the awkward rejoin there, he loses spots in the process.
Have to be careful here now. David Reynolds got to turn in. So that was almost...
It's the checkered flag, which is precisely what we want. 0.1 of a second is the gap between Feeney and Brown. A little over 0.8 of a second then back to Matt Payne that we were just hearing from Stephen Grove about. Here's the margin between the leaders. Has Will Brown got anything in reserve here as they all start to squeeze up towards the checkered flag?
Yeah, understood. So we've told him that message.
So they're talking about it. They're talking about it, and there's going to be a point in the next 2 or 3 laps that Will Brown needs to decide whether he's going to engage, because as soon as he engages, Matt Payne will be on the rear bumper of both of them, and then it's on between the 3 of them.
And if they don't resolve it between the 2 Red Bull teammates, what you're leading to here is that Matt Payne will actually then spoil the choices.
That's right.
Because he's going to have pace if they muck around too much, and it might spoil the story that they're trying to orchestrate at the moment in 1 and 2. So the margin between them is pretty tight. It's just a second between Brown and Payne. A second. Here's the gap. 2.1 seconds now. So he's looking pretty strong here to be able to bolt another victory together. Broc Feeney's mum and dad are here in the paddock this weekend. And that's impressive when you look at that lap speed at the back end. Again, we've fallen for this. It's a 3-card trick over and over and over, where we've sold the dodgy deal of tyre degradation early in the day based on the track conditions of the moment, only to find that the polar opposite is in fact the truth. So the lead cars, they've got great pace all the way to the checkered flag here, with the fastest lap of the race achieved by this man 1 lap ago. A 1 minute 45 point, I beg your pardon, 1 minute 49.5. He's now got 2.2 seconds in hand on the run towards the flag. This has been a beautifully controlled drive this afternoon by Broc Feeney. This bloke is a master. He's done a beautiful job. 21 years of age from the Gold Coast. Broc Feeney stitches together a perfect win on the streets of Melbourne.
Unreal. Really well managed. Great.
Was unreal. Beautiful drive. 2.3 seconds the gap officially at the end. And that last lap, Garth, was actually a new fastest lap. It was still in the 49.
Well,
so
both the Red Bull cars set their personal bests on the last lap.
Yeah, so he only moved the fractions. So he had done a 49.5 on the preceding lap. As Nick tries to argue the case, and I think he might actually get this done in the right-hander at 12. That was very cool. So how's that? A tit-for-tat move out the other side between 11 and 12, and the lead exchanges again.
Oh, here we go. Don't do that. So he tried to drive around the outside. Now his teammates played in. So the guys that are battling to win the weekend for the Larry Perkins Trophy are now alongside each other. The 2 teammates alongside each other. Feeney and Brown battling down to turn 1. This is going to be unbelievable.
That unlocks a bit of space here for Nick Percat. Staggering to watch the intensity of this battle. Feeney barely catching that thing out the other side. Remember, for Broc, he made a little mistake a couple of days ago when he just got it wrong on the brake pedal into turn 13, and side by side again into turn 3. Feeney and Brown, it'll be tense moments in the Red Bull garage. So far they're racing cleanly and effectively, and out the other side comes Will Brown. Great exchange between these boys.
Well done. Very, very nicely done. Both of them have played very fairly there.
But in the process, we've now got a 1 second margin for Nick Percat. Wow. Tight racing. Mostert's getting back into this as well. Problem is for him that he might have the physical presence on the racetrack, but the result sheet is going to reflect a 5 second penalty for him and push him down the order. As we jump on board here with Broc Feeney.
I love this section of road. It's so fast. It's actually faster than the main straight now. It's the highest speed that the cars get to around this layout. And as you were talking about the previous little run there, we're looking now at forward and David Reynolds down at turn 1. Now, someone on the inside. Yes, they certainly are. That's Aaron Love. And there's a little bit of bump and grind. There's a fence coming up. They stay off the fence there, so that was a wild little exchange. This is now from above. This is what it looks like. A little bump and grind off the turn 2 curb. A little bit of instability, and they lose 2 spots. In fact, that little bump and the little slide and the correction has slowed both cars up. Mark Winterbottom drove by on the left-hand side. So this is the ground, and this is the way that the previous move all unfolded, because Feeney had a very aggressive dive. Beautiful presence of mind to do the crisscross for Nick Percat. So he turned back the inside and then took the corner off them. And then there was the battle there behind with the 2 teammates.
What an unbelievable event so far. That's the view from Will Brown's car, our championship leader. He's already had a couple of wins this year. A new chapter set to unfold in New Zealand as we race in Taupo for the very first time with supercars. Great start by Brown. Contact, contact, contact. And unfortunately, trouble for Tim Slade. For Cam Waters, the pole sitter has gone to the left of the road. There's more trouble down here at 1.
Matt Payne around the wrong way. Broc Feeney in the paddock. Stanaway off the road also, but that's heavy contact there with Tim Slade.
Thanks.
And no room between the Red Bull car and Cam Waters for where Tim was trying to thread the needle.
Currently hold
Safety car speed limit is in 10.
Remember that car that we're looking at the moment has just been completely resurrected after contact with Matt Payne at the Grand Prix.
Is activated.
So the safety car deployed as they bring the field under control. It was only a matter of moments before we had trauma on the racetrack. No great surprise in these conditions.
How's that?
Frustration. And, you know, after such a great qualifying, the Newlon car there for Tim Slade as well. So who's got damage? Are they carrying it? Can they press on? Obviously, Tim's car's pretty bruised down there at the moment. Let's have a look at the replay. And Brown moving across to cover, and basically 3 into 2 or 1 did not go. Just look how awkward it is back in the pack here. Here's another view. This will give us a clearer indication of what's gone on. So actually a very good start by Tim Slade, who tried to thread down the middle. Cam was moving slightly left. Will was moving slightly as well. And there just wasn't sufficient room in the middle, and they all ran wide down here, trying to get the things to actually,
I think
risky spot to do it.
Well, Broc was pretty deep, wasn't he?
He was.
He wasn't blocking, and he was super deep.
Problem is they also diagonal to that apex down there at 12, so what looks like a gap diminishes pretty quickly down there. If you stick your nose in, you can get it bruised rapidly.
Yep.
Turn 1, he's up a little bit higher at the initial part of the turn in, a bit shallow on the way out. Did he give him a little kiss then? He's close.
I think 5 is the go. So he'll get a run out of 2, up through 3, across the curb at 4, and down the inside at 5. It's not close enough this time.
Is there a bigger pain in the butt than leading a race, but you're being pressured by your teammate?
No.
Because that's like the worst nightmare. You know, you work hard to be in the lead of a motor race, and you want to have a relaxed afternoon in that regard, but it's anything but when you've got your own guy in the background there. Meantime, keeping an eye on what's going on here at the moment, because Chaz Mostert's speedy and he's hunting Anton De Pasquale at the moment. Matt Payne's the driver in behind him. Let's go to Chad.
Yeah, grabbed a quick word with Adam Austin, the engineer for Ryan Wood, and said, what's with the extra pit stop? His response, we're going for it. And speaking of going for it, the teammates are at it.
Side by side, this could get awkward down here as Will Brown tries to find a unique line around the outside at turn 11. They're racing cleanly, but they're racing hard at the moment. Exit onto the back straight. Nothing between them. And the problem for Will is you'll end up using more of everything in this pursuit, and he'll have to be very cautious of that. He's got to try and make his gain in such a way that it doesn't end up dragging too much out of the tyres. Had to think about it. Showed the nose, just to annoy him, just to show some colour in the mirror, but he's well and truly aware of the logo on the car. Gave him a little bit of a helping hand there on the exit of turn 1. He's up the inside here at 2. He's got the whole thing parked all the way to the right on the top of the green concrete down there, Will Brown. Left, right, leaning on the car, asking the tyres to do a huge amount of work here. Turn 5. Will Brown's been a champion in a whole bunch of categories in his rise to the top. It's a new deal for him in 2024 to join the Red Bull team, and he's given him another little nudge here. That was a bigger one. That wasn't just Morse code. That was a thump.
Yep. And that run off turn 9 is the critical one for Will Brown. He hasn't been able to get off there well enough to position himself close enough for the braking area of 11.
So Craig's observation of Will is pretty accurate here. So he's able to park it ideally and run out around the inside there of turn 11. He actually used a bit of rear tyre coming out there. He had it wagging the tail, Will Brown. Broc is not able to quite get the car positioned to the exact same spot, but he's got track position at the moment and he's not flinching. He has not blinked at the moment. Now, Ryan Wood's gone out there on the fresh tyre, by the way. He's down in 18th and going for it, as Chad described. He's done a 27.6, but he's 49 seconds from the lead of the race. So even though he's got fresh tyres and has gone for a different sequence of stops to do it, he's got a lot of ground to make up, but he does have speed. Here's the battle for the lead. How's the amount of curb that Will's using there at turn 2? Had the car parked all the way to the right. Here we go, big dive down the inside. Tight, tight, tight. There's nothing between it. They're trying to stay off each other, but have a vigorous race at the same time. Try to get power to the road. That's hurting the rear tyres. It's 16 seconds back to De Pasquale, and they are watching very closely in the garage at Red Bull. Mark Dutton has seen this once or twice before.
He certainly has. And this is the critical corner. He's got a better run this time. That's the best run he's had. That's the critical corner. Now, he's parked himself. He's on the wrong side of the road here, but he'll try to crisscross. He'll try to run him into the corner and turn back on the inside. And Broc's having none of it.
Nothing to do with any of that. There's nowhere to go down there at turn 11 when you're on the outside. It's adding meterage.
Keep it up, mate.
We dare not take our eyes from it.
No.
Into the final complex. Lost a little bit of ground in that manoeuvre. 9 laps remaining. Just inside 30-odd kilometres. Still a bit to do with these tyres before you get to the end. Broc's having to carry the brake a long way into the corner into turn 1.
What tends to happen with these sorts of things is the level of frustration gets higher and higher and higher for the overtaker. And so for Will, it's hard not to actually get real red-faced and get real angry about trying to get by and end up making a little mistake.
And the frustration level correlates to the tyre temperature on the rear. There's a graph. Now, he's actually pulled that margin back down again, so it's evident that he's got the pace, but if he's going to make the move, it's got to be clean. They've been told on the radio, and the problem is that he's strong here through 8 and 9, Will Brown, but Broc is a wake up to it and makes him go the long way down here at turn 11. If he can kid him into overrunning down here, he'll get down the inside. But Broc's having none of it. And we saw laser focus from him in that first big victory in Adelaide. We've seen quite a number of occasions where Broc's concentration and his ability to manage pressure has been really impressive.
What he's doing also, if you notice, he's not blocking it all under brakes here, but the little kink in the road at the kink at turn 10 before 11 allows him to essentially block at turn 11.
Now, Will got a better exit that time out of turn 14. He did a nice job at negotiating 12 and 13, but it's such a short, sharp run down there, and there's kind of nowhere to go down here at turn 1. Martin Short's the engineer on the right-hand side of screen.
Still thinking to 5 is his answer. He's got to be able to come off that one well, and he's got a little run over the rise. He's got the whole car across the inside, and down the inside he plunges. But now they're alongside each other, and Broc does just release the throttle a little bit, and finally Will Brown is able to execute that manoeuvre.
Remaining, and there's nothing much in it between Feeney and Brown. It is now inside 1 second, so it's 0.2 of a second better lap last time through for Will Brown over Broc Feeney. Remember, 3 laps younger tyres on that second Red Bull Ampol Camaro that you can see on screen. We're at the business end. He may get there. Whether he's got enough in hand to be able to do anything about it, it's an open question. 0.7 of a second is the gap. Kostecki was looking a bit speedy on the last lap as well. He's smartened his pace up there. Then Golding in position number 4 from Percat, LeBrock, Davison, De Pasquale, Hill, Stanaway. Oh. So nice run today for Cam Hill, capitalising on that top 10 qualifying. And Richie Stanaway's played himself in here as well.
Yeah, he's done a nice job. Stayed out of trouble. Will Brown's just done the fastest Sector 1 of the race.
It's pretty impressive,
isn't it? Yeah.
So he may be able to even further improve his own fastest lap. He's already got the fastest lap of the race. What's it look like when he gets to the line? Not quite. Not as strong in the second and third sectors, but he is pushing. Computer says it's 0.9 of a second. Brock won't like the feeling of seeing that car getting bigger in the mirror. But we've seen some superlative performances in concentration, notably at Adelaide when he had that breakthrough win, the last for Holden, where he didn't scramble the egg. Yep. Had a lot of pressure on him. Will's giving it everything. So they're well clear now of Brodie, so there's really no doubt about what's going to happen for the third spot on the podium. And it's a pretty hefty margin then back to James Golding. What's not resolved, though, is Golding Percat is very close. It's 0.3 of a second at the moment. Yeah, so 4th and 5th is certainly unresolved.
And they were different with their strategy of tyres, because Percat put rears on and Golding put the loaded side tyres on. So
you've already got the fastest. 3 to go.
It's about how you read the play and how you engineer your way to the best result, and both of those guys have done a good job. Nick Percat, as we said before, is up 8 positions. You have to pay tribute also to what these guys have done in the Red Bull Ampol racing team, because they've gapped the field. They're up the field by 15 seconds roughly, and you know, although we had the early safety car, really that was the only part of the race that was interrupted.
I think the straw's now been broken. So it's gone back out to 1.3. The call came from Andrew Edwards. You've already got the fastest lap. I think that was the maximum attack.
Yeah.
And there hasn't been any evident faults from Broc Feeney. You can see it confirmed on screen there with our graphic. And they're well clear of Brodie. That little battle going on, though, between Golding and Percat, that's not sorted. So it's only showing on our computer timing as 0.2 of a second between them. Tim Slade here with Thomas Randall, 13th and 14th.
Yeah, it's pretty close here. So Frosty's trying to forge his way back. And there's the gap that I was talking about there. It's basically the length of the straight back to Kostecki, and then the battle that you're talking about is just in the back of shot.
This is the one that I've
Percat, he's into it.
Keeping an eye on, because the computer timing, that's been crushing down to the point where Percat is all over the back of him now. There's nothing in it. It's nose-to-tail battle. James Golding under extreme pressure with now less than 2 laps remaining. So 4th and 5th. This one certainly unresolved. Percat, a race winner at the Grand Prix earlier this year. Great start for him at Bathurst. Had a couple of challenging rounds in New Zealand and Western Australia. He also got a penalty in Western Australia, but they opened their account strongly on Friday in practice here in that Bendix car, and he's right with yesterday's pole sitter. Now, has he got enough? I've been watching him close, but it's that same deal where you get that close and you're now following, and it's hard to close it out from there. Race leaders are on the last lap. Now, I think it's a little bit like the Brown scenario, where Percat has done everything he can to get there, and now there's no more firepower. Yep. So it's exactly 1 second here for Feeney, who did a wonderful job yesterday. It was a faultless performance. Looks strange seeing Jamie in the other colours there, doesn't it?
Doesn't it? Yeah.
The smiling eyes of Mark Dutton. So it's a fastest lap for Will Brown. That's not going to change. They've only got a couple of corners remaining, and it's going to be a team 1-2 today. They've dropped Brodie further behind now. He's 17 seconds off the lead, and the margin between Golding and Percat, by the way, has gone out to half a second. So James is going to get that one unless there's a mistake. Sizing up that checkered flag now. And at the top end of this gorgeous country, Feeney is going to make it 2 for 2 in the territory.
Yeah, total domination by the team, mate. 16 seconds for the next car behind us. Awesome work. Green flag.
Love the sound of supercars rattling Townsville as we get ready for the second instalment of the weekend, and it is a blinding start for Waters, a shocker for LeBrock, who's going to be swamped by the best part of 3 or 4 cars by the time he gets down to turn 2. Waters and Randall, Tickford 1 and 2. Davison jumps up into 3rd spot and he's covering. Courtney down the filthy side of the road. Can he stop it? 3 wide at turn 2. And they managed to scoot out the other side, but only just, and it's already a healthy margin for Waters.
What about the Tickford start for Waters and Randall? They got off the line like jets. They were able to get right by, and Jack LeBrock has gone way back. He's battling with Courtney in 5th or 6th there now. Get through there.
Frantic opening lap, particularly for those in the mid-pack who are fighting for every millimetre they can gain while it's relatively easy meet. Waters, Randall, Davison, 1, 2, 3. LeBrock, Courtney, Dickersqually, Payne, Mostert, Heimgartner, Wood into the top 10.
And Will Brown's gone backwards, so we just need to check. There it is. That's the drama we spoke of before the start. I just looked for where he was because I saw the name dropping down our scoreboard, and at the back, he's got serious damage.
Now, Feeney has a big on the inside here of Wood. There was a little bit of light contact there. So he's trying to make some ground here as well. And a fair bit of vigour in this opening lap. Here's the replay. Watch Jack and the bolt that Cam Waters get. And unfortunately, wheel spin went nowhere there for LeBrock. Randall goes by, Davison goes by, and he's in plenty of strife, Jack LeBrock, by the time he gets down to turn 1. So he's dropped a couple of spots, and have a go at this. Courtney up the inside. They actually were at one point there 4 cars wide.
Yeah.
And so that was pretty impressive for them to thread their way through without some damage. And was that Aaron Ludd that had to take to the curbing on the inside? Not 100% sure.
Yeah. And then, so that's the contact. That was Will Brown into the fence on the way in to turn 3.
Was that
with
David,
car 20.
Reynolds? Yeah.
So we were trying to work out where the damage come from, and that's been where it's occurred.
You were onto that concept yesterday, and you talked about the risk for Will down in 13th, and he only just avoided trouble between turns 2 and 3. He went back even further today, and it got worse for him. Here's the onboard. We're looking at from David Reynolds' viewpoint, and that's that classic spot between turns 2 and 3 where the cars are not able to negotiate the full width of the road there, and Reynolds and Brown have tangled, and that's resulted in damage on both those cars, and it's parked Will Brown back up. So having a look here in the background, you can see Will's all crossed up, and right about now he'll be dropping his head in frustration. And there's probably a reasonable amount of damage going on with Reynolds' car, who's down in 21st.
That probably could have been worse. I mean, in the end, it slid itself along with the contact with David Reynolds. It slid itself along in that left-hand front corner all the way along that fence, but it didn't actually turn abruptly straight into the fence. Could have wiped the front off it. Oh, it's hit the fence again. Was that the same car, or was that Feeney? That might have been Feeney. So that again, both were. Just see that rear and the ride sort of porpoise effect that the car has through those bumps at turn 6, and that's the spot just there that he made a gain on Will Brown on the previous lap. Fastest car again on the last lap was David Reynolds.
Yeah, I enjoy watching those images because you get a sense of the car you're riding with and its behaviour based on the sounds in the background. You can also clearly see what the preceding car's doing as well. So there's a couple of strengths that Thomas has got at the moment. He's about to use one of them. Oh, no, it's a little bit awkward, but he's given him a thump. If he profits from that, he can get a whack from the umpire. He's got to be very careful. They're leaning on one another pretty aggressively here all the way up the back straight. So the aggro continues. It's serve and return of serve all the way up here through 5, and it continues up to turn 6.
Yeah, Will's probably going to give him a bump now. He does, and he pulls back on the inside. So that was tit for tat. Absolutely tit for tat, and he's running wide as a consequence. He's going to battle to stay on the black stuff, and he's actually fixed it up.
Fucking pump and run.
That's an unhappy Thomas Randall in the background. There was ag between them in Western Australia as well.
Nice ball.
Round, so they're pretty big. There's pretty big margins because it come in as 63 and 120.
Now this is interesting, Mark, because there's a bit of pressure now between the teammates. So Broc is flying out there. I've been watching his laps in the last several laps. He's making good ground and potentially going to threaten his teammate here. And he's well and truly skipped away now. And the margin back to Thomas Randall's opened up significantly.
Gives him a bump. It's the first time that I've seen for a while the two of them actually having that sort of exchange. We saw in history here, we saw Jamie Whincup and Craig Lowndes fire each other off the road, and Lowndesy was out in the weeds through turn 6 with two of the Red Bull cars through the history at this place. You don't need to have a drama now, and you can see Randall will be looking at this going, boys, you keep on playing like this and I'm going to capitalise, which he's looking to do straight away.
Doesn't take much, does it? And he's back in the game almost now, Thomas Randall. He was right with him under brakes.
Got the speed, 5.5.
So you can hear the gap to the flag in the background on the team radio. So we're inside 6 laps remaining. Is there enough room there? Thought about it. Problem is, look how dirty that inside line is down there into turn 6. Be very brave to go down there and try and get your foot on the brake pedal at the last possible minute. Waters, meantime, 4-second margin over Brown. So this is also affecting the margin to the lead as these two start to race hard for positions 2 and 3. It's having the effect of drawing Thomas Randall.
So there's some pretty lively radio chat here. Oh, that's going to be a big hit.
He's got him, and that's awkward. And again, wow. Now, that's highly likely to involve a penalty here for Randall.
Yeah, copy, mate, copy.
And there's damage, unfortunately, on Thomas's car. Waters out to 4.4 seconds over Brown. Forward's going to be on the podium if this continues like it is, but there's a lot of pressure in the background because Mostert now is right in. It's going to feel good for Broc. You got grip, and you can see.
Yep.
And he launches out, and where does he drop in?
Yeah, it's just there.
So that's Mostert rocking on by. And he's got a slightly different sequence going, and this is going to be really tight between these guys. Really tight. Winterbottom's actually our race leader. Remember, he runs wide down there on a cold tyre. And did they make contact then? Did they actually get away with it? That was pretty wild. So that's pushing on with a cold tyre that doesn't want to accept that load or steering angle.
Nice and smooth to the end here, ready to go. Nice and smooth, okay?
That was a nail-biting moment, wasn't it?
That was. I actually thought they were going to run into each other as Broc went understeering off the road. When he was rejoining there, I thought for sure that was going to be contact. Here it is.
So he's hustling, can't get it turned, just doesn't want to know about it. And then when he came back on, there was contact.
Yep.
And pretty solidly so. So is there steering damage to 88 as a result? So look at the steering angle on Broc's car. Wide, wide, wide. Now he's also out in all that rubbery, dirty junk out there. And it's not a picnic run either for Will, as he's actually running wide down there because he was trying to get in as deep as he could. And then 2 into 1 doesn't quite go down here. And so left front contact solidly so for Feeney. And robust right-hand strength of the car and the other car would be no big deal, but that would have lifted Jamie's heart rate momentarily. Yep, he fully understands it. Knowing personal best, maximum attack, and Will Brown, our championship leader, has made a mistake and pointing the wrong way with damage. And now more damage.
Red flag,
3
red
cars,
flag,
4
red
cars,
flag.
red flag to the session, and that is exactly what Will Brown does not need.
Left rear is hanging
Stanaway will grab the pole provisionally and has gone through into the shootout. Damage here, though, for Percat. So who didn't make it, Mark? Courtney, Kostecki, Heimgartner, LeBrock, De Pasquale, Winterbottom, Hill, Wood, Jones, Percat, Fullwood, Slade, Davison, Love, Evans. And this is Will Brown's car, and that's a moment for him. Not going to be severe damage there, but just be a frustration for him. And Mark Dutton greeting him as he leaps out of the car. So he has ended up in 7th, so he's still in this shootout.
Well, I don't know. That's the part, because I think his next lap is a
Red
10.94, so he brought the red flag
Yes.
out. So I'm thinking, looking at his second lap, as a 10.94, I think he misses out. So we just have to clarify that.
Yeah, I hadn't thought of that. When I could see the look on your face, I went, hang on. So here's what happened. He's got the throttle going there to try and steer himself out of it, but yeah, we'll need to go back and look and see what that number looked like. So Breaker Street busts another supercar, turn 11. And he's trying to just get the back of the car out of the way there. And then there was a traffic jam where others subsequently got involved in an awkward moment, unfortunately, for Nick Percat. Nailed. And Tim Slade arriving on the scene as well. Aaron Love was able to scoot through without any damage. Perils of racing on the streets of Surfers Paradise. So easily done. Nice job, Jack LeBrock, to be able to squeeze by that. But Percat nowhere to go. And the same for Tim Slade. Even though it's a low-speed corner, it doesn't take much. Let's have a look again for Will. He's got the rears locked on the way in there.
Let's just try and grab Will having a quick download with Andrew. Try to interrupt, mate, just very quickly. I reckon that demonstrates greatly, Will, the pressure of a top 10 shootout now. You can't relinquish yourself to 7th spot. Pressing on, what happened?
Yeah, no, I've been locking rears in there, you know, the last 2 sessions and just thought I'd get it turned, but didn't. And yeah, just locked the rears, slapped the fence. Then unfortunately I took a couple of other cars out of their quali, which is, yeah, sorry to them, but these things happen. It's Gold Coast. We'll just press on and see where we end up.
It's the thin edge of the wedge, mate. Have you had a chance to talk to Andrew? So bringing the red flag out, what's that going to mean to your lap time and your position in the 10?
I don't know, to be honest. I don't know what time we've done before. We're definitely not in the 10, but if that's the case, if the red flag means that we lose our time, then that's what'll happen.
All right, chin up, mate.